So where I'm at right now, where I live, is under hurricane watch because there is a Category 1 hurricane, or I think it's still a tropical storm. I don't know. It's just a big storm. It is a big storm, and it's headed my way. I'm not in a direct path of it, but it's going to be a lot of rain. Excuse me. So I thought before, while I still have an open space, I thought I'd get a few Patreon requests done for the day and get those out before, you know, shit happens. Anyway, so our first Patreon request comes from Jason Voorhees 2011, who asked me to do a Season 2 villain wish list for Batman Cape Crusader. As always, if you guys would like to have Patreon requests done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the third tier that'll allow you access to the Patreon requests, as well as Patreon videos. I mean, the other videos you can see on the other tiers as well. Yeah. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, Season 1 had a pretty solid balance of lesser-known villains and like A-tier villains. Like, we had I think that was the smart idea, to have lesser-known and better-known villains and have them mixed up so it wouldn't feel stale. And obviously, yes, it's a minor spoiler here, but Joker is going to be in Season 2. I imagine Season 2 is going to be very Joker-centric. He is going to be the overarching storyline. But, yeah, I do think that, yeah, like, whatever they do with Joker is going to be the big overarching thing. So, what was it? The big question is, like, what other villains do we want to see for Season 2 of Cape Crusader? Now, there are a lot. Batman's villains are far and many and varied. And I think every villain has potential to be like an actual, like, credible threat to Bruce. So let's run through some villains real quick. Let's get some actual lesser tier villains first. Like, let's do some lesser tier villains first. I think one that would be really fun, first and foremost, the Clock King. The Clock King is a guy who's obsessed with time, and he could easily fit into this setting. Like, he could absolutely fit into this setting. I know, like, in Brave and the Bold, they gave him his classic, like, bombastic costume, but I would like to see him like how he was in Batman the Animated Series, and the form they've basically been using of Clock King since, where he's got, like, you know, little clocks on his on the glasses, bowler hat. Again, that form can fit perfectly into Cape Crusader, and someone who could actually, like, be a threat of someone who can, like, pull off. You could have him be, like, in this version, have him be like some kind of, like, master thief who is, like, pulling the strings and, like, easily like, has a gang of thugs who work for him, and they're pulling off these brilliant heists in record time, and they're doing it like they know the, like, drop-off points to the exact second. And even have, like, a second where he, like, looks at one of his cronies and be like, Frankie, you were 3.4 seconds off. And he's like, oh, sorry, boss, it won't happen again. He's like, no, it won't. It just fucking blasts him. So I think Clock King would be an absolute banger for, like, maybe a one and done, or maybe just show up once or twice. Like, yeah, Clock King is one villain I would love to have in here. Following that, I think another cool villain to have on the lesser known scale is the Ten-Eyed Man. Now, my idea for the Ten-Eyed Man is that he doesn't have 10 eyes on his body. He's not, like, wearing, like, he doesn't have, like, 10 eyes all over him. He's just, like, a really good assassin, and I would have it that why he's called the Ten-Eyed Man is because every time someone's tried to get the drop on him, he immediately knows where they are and just counters it quickly. So people have this like, running gag with him in the Gotham Underground, where they're like, yeah, we call him the Ten-Eyed Man because it's like he can see 10 places. Like, he's so good that he can, like, it's like he's got 10 eyes all over him, so you just can't sneak up on him. So, yeah, that's my idea for the Ten-Eyed Man. For others, I would say another one that would be a lot of fun to see, like, again, like, in terms of, like, what you could do with a lesser known villain. I know they kind of brought in Magpie. I know, like, I know they kind of did Magpie as, like, I think that was supposed to be Magpie, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, she was, like, it was a, she was treated as, like, a squeeze for one of Thorne's goons, but maybe you could, like, bring her back as Magpie. Again, I think Magpie would be a great one. If it, like, I know we have Catwoman in this universe, but I think it would be a lot of fun to have. I think it would be fun to have Magpie in here too, as, like, maybe a one and done, or even have, like, her and Catwoman competing to steal shit. I think that would be a lot of fun too. What else? Like, who else would be? Who else? Because I had a few other fun ones. Oh, if we're gonna go into, like, other more serious villains, I know they brought in Killer Croc, but I don't. It doesn't look like they're gonna be using him as, like, as a major villain. He was just more for cameo, which kind of sucks because I kind of wanted more Croc. I would say another villain I would like to see in here, the Terrible Trio. I think I've talked about this before, where I would love to have the Terrible Trio almost treated like the Strangers. Not Strangers from this god-awful fucking movie I saw earlier this year, but, like, I'm talking classic, like, the first two movies. Have them just be, like, a trio of home invaders who are just randomly killing people just for the fun of it. So just have it like a creepy, like, again, make them like the Strangers. That's my idea for the Terrible Trio. Now let's move on to some more, like, better known villains. Let's talk about, like, what I'd like to see done with them. For some better known villains, I think they have name dropped Dr. Crane, so I think Scarecrow might be showing up. If he does, I kind of imagine. I hope first off get Jeffrey Combs back, because I think he's perfect for Scarecrow. Yeah, have Jeffrey Combs come back to voice Scarecrow again, and maybe do. Yeah, you've got to make it. Like, I don't think there's much you can change with Scarecrow other than make him scarier, and this show runs on being a scary show. For others, for other better known villains, I think Poison Ivy would be fun. I think having her, like, since they brought out a lot, like, classic version of Catwoman, maybe have, like, classic version of Poison Ivy where she's more of a femme fatale than she is, like, an eco-terrorist. That was kind of the original, like, 30s version, where she was more like less about eco-terrorism and more about, you know, killing hot guys and taking their money. So I think that's the, like, not to say that's a great representation, but, like, I think there's a good way to walk both lines. Like, I think there's a great way to merge the eco warrior Ivy with the femme fatale Ivy. Like, have it that, like, and they did it perfectly in the first episode of Batman the Animated Series 2, where essentially I'd have it in this show is that Ivy is pretending to be a, you know, this beautiful stranger that meets up with billionaires, like, mind controls them, and then makes them give money to various or eco organizations, or make them convert their money to, like building more eco-friendly products and whatnot. I know they kind of did that with Harley, but I think that would be the best idea for it. I don't know if I'd give her. I don't think I'd give Harley her plant powers. I don't think that. Like, again, I would have her more like she's just a really clever botanist. Again, going back to Golden Age Harley. Mr. Freeze is another. I know, like, a lot of people say, like, if Mr. Freeze shows up in this cartoon, he should be like Golden Age Mr. Freeze, or like something of that degree. And I'm like, I kind of don't want that, because we all know we love Freeze for being, you know, the loyal like husband, an obsessive husband that he is. Also, if you do that, can we not do something creepy with Freeze? Like, for some reason, a lot of comic writers have been doing lately, where they're like, oh, Freeze, Nora doesn't really love Freeze. He was obsessed with her and froze her on purpose because he's like, yeah, it's his precious prize. And I'm like, don't stop doing that. So Freeze would be cool. I would give him the German accent though. I think I think that would be a nice nod to classic Mr. Freeze. Is make him actually German, have him be. And as an added bonus, since it's supposed to be 1930s, you could have it that Victor Freeze fled Germany to avoid, because he was Jewish. I think I do remember I think somewhere, and I don't know if this got retconned or not, but I remember somewhere that Freeze is Jewish, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Again, it's an alternate universe. You could easily make that he didn't want his experiments used for the Nazis, and he was of Jewish descent, so he was freaked out by, of course, fascism's kind of a bad day. So he fled to America. He began working for another company. Maybe you could have it be Daggett or someone like that. And shit went sideways, and he became Mr. Freeze. I think another one that would be pretty neat to do, since we've kind of dipped our toes into supernatural stuff already, Grundy. I've talked about I talked about wanting Solomon Grundy here. Maybe even have an episode where you introduce him as Cyrus Gold, and then he dies. He comes back as Grundy in a later episode. There you go. Since we've done, Nocturna, as well as, Gentleman Ghost, obviously, so we're willing to go supernatural. So I think Solomon Grundy would be a cool one. If we're not going to have Croc, if we're not going to have Killer Croc as a villain in the sewers, let it be Grundy. What else? I would say Man-Bat. If we're going to go for more monstrous villains, Man-Bat would be a cool one. I think also Mr. Zaz for more horror. I was, like I said in an original video, I said, Zaz would be another, I think, great pick for this series as well. Now, Ra's al Ghul, I think he's kind of perfect for this kind of setting, but do I want him is the question. Because, I feel like we've done a lot, we've done a lot with him, and I would say yes, but definitely have it. You've got to make it whenever you bring in Ra's al Ghul, you can't just do Ra's and not make it like a James Bond story. That was the idea for Neil Adams and I forget the other creator, but that whole point of Ra's al Ghul was that he was meant to be almost like a James Bondian type villain for Batman. So you have got to have Batman go on this globe-trotting adventure fighting them. Now, another group of villains I think would be a lot of fun, and I think it would be kind of cool to expand more on this universe's Gotham, is the Court of Owls. I think the Court of Owls could fit here, but you've got to make a point of why didn't they intercede with all these villains? Maybe you could have it that whatever Joker's going to do in Season 2, because again, it looks like Joker's going to be the big driving force of Season 2, is that whatever Joker did. And now with these rise of new villains, the Court of Owls is okay, now we end this old Batman thing, now we gotta step in. Also, side note, I'd love to see Baby Doll again. I want to see what this version of Baby Doll would be like. That's just I like that episode. Anyway, so there you go. Those are just a few villains I would love to see. You guys tell me in the comments below, what villains are on your Caped Crusader Season 2 wish list? Once again, I'd like to thank Jason Voorhees 2011 for this Patreon request and continued patronage. Like I said before, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the 3rd tier. That'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.